Hey guys, welcome to this Methods 1-2 chapter help video. This is going to be on chapter 1b, which is constructing linear equations or creating linear equations or forming linear equations, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, let's get straight into it. So when you're trying to go through this chapter, you want to follow this little strategy that I've created. So step number 1 is identifying what information the question gives you, like noting that down. Step number 2 is finding what are you actually trying to find? What is the question asking you to do? And then we're going to assign X to the thing that we're trying to find. Step number 3 is using the information that we found in the question to form a linear equation. Step number 4 is kind of like chapter 1a, where you're just solving the linear equation. But then step number 5, this only happens for some of the questions, but you have to add units to your answers. So for example, if a question is asking for how far apart are two villages, then you have to put kilometers or something like that. That's an example. But yeah, let's get into some example questions. So the first one is going to be a business which charges $10 per hour for house cleaning. That's kind of pretty cheap. And then plus $5 up front. So no matter how long they work for, you still have to pay $5 on top of their rate. And then the question is asking how much will they charge for 4 hours of house cleaning. So when we look at the question, we see that a business charges $10 per hour. So what we're going to do is assign X. This is where we're going to assign X. So 10X, because what we're effectively doing is making it so that for every X amount of hours, they are paying $10. So 10X is what that's trying to say is $10 for every X amount of hours. And then plus $5 up front, so we need to add $5 to our linear equation. And that's pretty much it. That's our linear equation. Now what we need to do is take a look at the next part of the question. How much for 4 hours? So it's asking what is the amount that we'll need to pay for 4 hours. So what we're going to do now is, because we've defined it so that $10 for every X amount of hours, and the question is asking for 4 hours, what we can do is substitute X equals 4 into the equation. So that becomes 10 bracket 4 plus 5. And that's pretty much it. We just solve it, so that equals 45. And yeah, there's your answer. We're not done yet though, because what we need to do, take a look at step 5, add units to the answer. Now, because this question is asking for what is the amount, it's going to be measured in dollars. So this is pretty simple. We just add dollars and then 45. So $45, and then for 4 hours of house cleaning, blah blah blah. So yeah, that's our answer, $45. Pretty straightforward. Okay, now the next question is asking find 3 consecutive odd numbers that sum up to 81. So we need to look at what consecutive odd numbers are. Every odd number is 1, 3, 5, 7, so on and so on. It's skipping every even number. So there's a 2 number gap in between each odd number. Well, there's 1 number in between. Let's think of it that way. So we have to skip that 1 number. Consecutive means that we're not skipping anything. Not like the even numbers, but we're not skipping any odd numbers in this case. So we can't do 1, 3, 7, 9, something like that. We can't do that. It has to be 1, 3, 5, 7. So we're not skipping any numbers that count as an odd number. Now it's trying to ask finding 3 of them. So 3 numbers which go bang, bang, bang. It's not skipping any odd numbers in between. And then they have to add up to 81. So there's kind of 3 methods to do this. Well, they're kind of very similar to each other, but we're just gonna go through one of them. So 3 consecutive odd numbers. What this means is the first number is going to be X. So this is where we assign X to the unknown number that we're trying to find. The next number is, and this is a pretty handy trick, is going to be X plus 2. Because X plus 2 is effectively 2 numbers more than the number that we're trying to find. And that makes sense because every odd number is 2 apart from each other. So x plus 2, that means an odd number plus the odd number after it. And then what we can do now is x plus 4 at the end. So this is the smaller odd number, the middle odd number, and then the larger odd number. And that pretty much does it for like our x variables. Now what we need to do is make it so that they equal 81. So yeah, like these three numbers, when they're added together, that equals 81. And this is pretty much our linear equation. We just solved it. So we collect like terms, so 3x and then 2 plus 4, so that's the like terms on the left of the equation, so plus 6, and that equals 81. Yeah, and then we just solve it. So 3x equals 75, and then x equals 25. We're not done yet though, because this is our first number that we've found. So the smaller number, in this case is just x, that's going to be 25. These two numbers, however, x plus 2, we just substitute x equals 25 into them. So that means x plus 2, 25 plus 2, that's 27. So 27, and then with this number here, that equals 29, because x being 25, 25 plus 4 equals 29. And then we can like check, so 25 plus 27, that is 52, and then 52 plus 29, that's 81. So that works out. These three numbers here are our three consecutive odd numbers, which add up to 81. Pretty cool. Okay, so our third question is going to be, Mark drives for 1 hour from Melbourne to Geelong. On the way back, traffic builds up, so maybe there's like a rush hour or something, there's like a traffic jam. Anyway, traffic builds up, and that makes him drive 20 kilometers per hour slower than opposed to the way like in the other direction. And he arrives 15 minutes later opposed to when he was going on the other way. The question asks, find the speeds on the way there and back. So this sort of question, it's a little bit complicated, so let's break it down. Let's draw some sort of illustration to help us visualize this. So, Melbourne to Geelong, the time it takes for him is 1 hour. So that's going to be, let's just put hours, 1 hour. And on the way back, Geelong to Melbourne, that takes him 15 minutes like longer, so that's going to be 1 hour and a quarter, because a quarter of an hour is 15 minutes. So yeah, that's the amount of time it took for him to go from Geelong to Melbourne. And then 20 kilometers slower. So here's what we're going to do now. From Melbourne to Geelong, we're going to label that as X amount of kilometers. This is where we assign the X variable. So Melbourne to Geelong, that is X km. And because it's X kilometers per hour and he's only driven for 1 hour, that means his speed there is going to be X kilometers per hour. Okay. On the way from Geelong to Melbourne, however, his speed, since it's 20 kilometers per hour slower, what we can do is from Geelong to Melbourne, the distance stays the same. Okay, so X kilometers, it's staying the same. What is changing is the speed and time it took for him for the journey. So that's going to be the speed is 20 kilometers per hour slower, which is going to mean that it's going to be X minus 20 kilometers per hour, because we've just taken off 20 kilometers per hour off of the speed as opposed to Melbourne to Geelong. Now what we do is we bring the amount of time it took for him from Geelong to Melbourne. We're gonna bring that down here. So 1 hour and 14 minutes. That's 5 quarters of an hour. So 5 quarters of times X minus 20. So it takes him longer because he's driving at a slower speed, but he's still covering the same exact amount of distance as opposed to Melbourne to Geelong. Now what we can do is make it so that they equal X, because this is what it's effectively saying. 5/4 of an hour, so how long he took, multiplied by the speed, that equals 1 hour, so 1 times x kilometers per hour, which is also the speed. So that's what if this equation is effectively saying. It's a little bit complex, but when we break it down, it's going to be a little bit more simplified. So this is our linear equation. What we can do now is solve it. So 5/4 of x, that's just 5 over 4x. And then minus 20, that's 100. 100 divided by 4, so that's 25. Yeah, 5/4 of 20, that's 25. And then that equals x. Now we just like solve it. So when we bring this to this side and then bring the x over to this side, that means 1/4 x equals 25. So x equals 100. So this is the distance between Melbourne and Geelong, 100 kilometers, which is actually like that in real life. But yeah, so now we have to find the speeds. What we can do now is just substitute x equals 100 into the speed that we found here. So x kilometers per hour, 100 kilometers per hour is going to be the speed from Melbourne to Geelong. So m to g, that's going to be 100 kilometers per hour. And then on the way back, he drives 20 kilometers per hour slower. So g to m is going to be 100 minus 20, which is 80. So 80 kilometers per hour. Yeah, that's how you do this question. It's a little bit complex, but once you start to practice more, you'll get the hang of it, and it'll be a lot more simple and less like overwhelming. Okay, I've got a bit of a bonus question, and this was in I think the year 10 advanced maths. So one of my friends actually like talked to me about this question, and I found it a little bit challenging. So let's go through this question. If you know how to do this question, you're going to be pretty much set. So 8 years ago, I was 5 times older than my son, and then in 5 years' time, I'll be 3 times older. So it's asking how old am I now? What we're going to do is we're going to draw like a little chart or a little table to help visualize this. So what we're going to do is the son's age, it was X amount in like 8 years before, but since 13 years has passed from here to like in 5 years' time, what this means is the son is going to be X plus 13 years old. Because 8 years before, like right now, he's going to be X plus 8 years old, and then in 5 years' time, he's going to be X plus 13 years old. Now, the adult, he's going to be three times older, so 3 times this amount. So that's going to be 3x plus 13. So that's what we've done. Okay, we're just going to put a question mark there, so that's what we're trying to find. Now what we can do though is make it so that we bring the 5x and then plus 13. So what I'm trying to say is that 5x plus 13, when we bring the 5x down here, that's going to be plus 8 and then plus 13 years old, because 13 years has passed since he was 5x years old, so he's going to be 5x plus 13 in 5 years' time. What this means is that is equal to this right here. So 3 bracket x plus 13, that equals that. So now this is a simple linear equation, and what we can do is 5x plus 13 equals 3x plus 39. So what we do is we bring the like terms over to the other side. So 2x equals 26. And here we've got our x amount, so x equals 13. Now x equals 13, that was how old he was 8 years ago. His son was 8 years ago. What we do now is we substitute this x of equaling like 13, we substitute it into 5x here. So how old like the adult was 8 years ago. So 8 years ago he was 5x, so 5x equals 5 times 13, which is equal to 65. So 8 years ago, he was 65 years old. Now what we do is, like nowadays, like right now, he is going to be 5x plus 8, because 8 years ago he was 5x. So when we like bring the time to the present, it's going to be 5x plus 8. So 5x plus 8 is the same as 65 over here plus 8, which is equal to 73. So he is currently 73 years old right now. And that's how we did this question, or how I did this question. It's a little bit challenging and a little bit confusing. But yeah, make sure to draw like a table to help visualize this. When you draw a table, it's going to be like a lot easier to process in your mind. And yeah, so that's pretty much how I got to the answer. If you do manage to do this question though, you're going to be set for this chapter. This is like one of the harder questions, not only in year 10, but also in like this chapter in methods. So yeah, if you did manage to get this answer, then congratulations. But this is going to be it for this video. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions, or like I've done something wrong in this chapter, make sure to let me know in the comments. And yeah, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.